Our next stop, Glidden Point Oyster Farms in Edgecombe, Maine.
The Damerscott River is just, the Napa Valley of places to grow oysters.
That's Colin Casey, the farm manager. A Napa Valley of oysters? We were definitely in the right place.
We live in a postcard, and we get to work in the postcard down here. So that's pretty nice. That's kind of the big one. It's not as hot down here as it is inland, which is nice when it's really hot. So that's good.
Max Ritchie is the operations manager.
We stock them between 200 and 300 oysters per crate, and it makes it really easy on like wash day.
Sarah Zhao handles sales and purchasing. The entire process takes time.
Water to table, depending on bottom culture and surface culture, is 2 years to 3 years. They will grow a little bit slower on the bottom just because there's not as much phytoplankton down at 25 to 30 feet. Because of sunlight and nutrients, oysters will grow faster on the surface.
Time and a team. Depending how far along the oysters are in the growing process, they're collected and graded by size using a shake table.
There's different size grates right here that allow different oysters to pass along, letting the smaller ones pass through to the bottom, and then collecting our larger oysters into a different bin.
Max summed up the next part.
Move the bags from one place to another, go get them out of the field, bring them down here in the tractor, put them down here, fill them up, put them on boats.
Jimmy and I got put to work. 2.5 scoops of oysters per bag, about 250, which prevents cramping the oysters and allows them room to grow.
These guys ought to stick around at this size, but if we overstocked them, if we put them at 300 or 500 would be a lot. Like you really would notice a 500 density as opposed to a 250.
After loading up the boat, we headed towards Damerscott, the oyster capital of New England.
Right now we are deploying our smaller graded oysters onto a separate line to make sure that we can distinguish which oysters are which come September, October, once we pull them off the lines. All of these guys that we're putting in the water right now will end up being planted on the bottom of the river.
They also focus on the surface. That prevents loss in the water and guarantees product when needed throughout the year.
Those are all what are called our topsiders. They're split at a density of 250 oysters per bag, giving them plenty of room to grow. They go in at about a quarter full, and when we put them out, they'll be half to 3/4 full of oysters, pretty much doubling in size in the next 3 months.
The good thing is, when Colin is dragging for oysters or diving, there's always company. Carl rides shotgun.
He does bark at people when they come down to the dock, but it's like total bark, no bite.
Colin worked for the National Marine Fisheries Service, and he saw how much we take and waste from the ocean. His science background blended well with oyster farming.
This is a sustainable way where you can grow a delicious product that I personally love. And even though we are taking them back out of the water, we are always putting more oysters in the water. So it's a beautiful kind of give and take, I find, with the environment, instead of just always focusing on the taking and taking.
And the result is in the baskets back at Glidden Point.
After the guys come in from harvesting, they dump them all into their wet storage, unculled, cull them through, and then once they're culled, they purge here for about a week or so. So it gets rid of all the grit, all the sand, and so when you open up the oyster, it's clean.
One step closer to the table.
Hose them down, wash them up, bag them. We have different colored bags for different colored products.
Time for a tasting. All the months, all the years of hard work. Worth it. Every time.
Sweating in the rain, in the snow. I go diving when it's, -10 out sometimes. But it's all for the love of the oyster.